Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a stocks to watch video. Today is October 31st, 2020. Happy Halloween. Before we get started, this video is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security, and I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Also, if you enjoy these videos, go ahead and like and subscribe. I appreciate that. You can always find me on Twitter also at AlphaCharts365. I'm usually posting daily there my thoughts and ideas. All right, so looking at the queue real quick before we get started into individual thoughts, where are we? So we just came from, top to where we're at now, about a 10% decline in the market. And, was this a cup and handle? No, it wasn't. But could this be some sort of double bottom? I think that is a likely scenario. So with 260 being kind of the line in the sand, right? And this is the rising 200-day moving average right here. Because it is rising, I think that you still have to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls. Just be in a very choppy, ugly range right here. I mean, the market just went, up, 80% or so in a very short time. So now it may need to work off those gains. And again, chopping sideways, I don't think is out of the question either. So again, double bottom, chopping sideways in this range. I think either way, 260 is really, really, really important. Then underneath that, obviously, the rising 200-day moving average. With that being said, this is an amazing time to go ahead and buff up that watch list, which is what I've been doing. And I'm going to share with you a bunch of names. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 names that are not Chinese, and another 2, 4, 6, 7 that are. I separated the Chinese ones out because I will usually not partake in Chinese names in general, just because I'm afraid of them, their accounting practices, basically. There's been too many instances of people getting burned with them, but there are some nice setups. So I may be looking at maybe ETFs or something like that. So anyway, we will share those with you also. So let's get started. I will go quickly as usual. So if any of these names look good to you, go ahead and jot them down. I'm not, with the election this week and with, a lot of unknowns this week, again, and there's a chance that the market isn't done going down yet. I'm not looking to buy anything, but I am looking to keep a list of the strongest names. And those are the ones most likely that will rebound the fastest and move higher once this market is done going down. All right, so let's get started. No particular order here. So it's the first one. It's going to be net. You'll see net, nice big increase, very orderly pullback, still above the rising 23-day EMA. Earnings, November 5th? Yeah, November 5th. So again, I wouldn't buy before earnings for sure. Again, and too much volatility in the market, but holding up really well. Next one is ftch, Farfetch. This one, high-end clothing and stuff on the internet, online sales. If it could break out here, that would be huge, right? I mean, just IPO, breakout, earnings on November 12th. That's Farfetch, avlr. So this one, let's zoom in. This was a very important area. It was up here, it's consolidating, pulled back a little bit below that area, but still above all its moving averages. Earnings on the 5th. Garden Health. This was a very important area. It broke out, retested. It's trying to move higher now. Everything is an uptrend. Earnings also on the 5th. Big day, the 5th. Moving on to OLED. Big area. Price is right below it, so it'd have to confirm breakout. It already had earnings, which is a positive. So if you can get above, 221-ish, I think that OLED could be a good spot. AHCO, May have been a SPAC or something. I'm not even sure. But it's in an uptrend. Again, big up, kind of moving sideways, consolidation. Earnings on November 4th. But this one is, again, it's an uptrend. EXAS, Exact Sciences. This was a very important area. You had that big earnings gap. You had obviously big players entering this market very recently, right? That's a nice volume profile right there. And now you're having a very orderly consolidation on lower volume back into support. This one looks pretty good. May need to move sideways so let these moving averages catch up a little bit, but this one looks real nice. RCM. Earnings are on November 3rd. And again, just consolidating near all-time highs. So there's nothing not to like, holding up really well. TMX, Terminex. I'm not sure. Then maybe I don't know what they do. Maybe pest control. I don't know. But big move up. And look at these just sideways tight consolidation. I mean, when I see this, it really sparks my interest. Obviously it's been kind of a up and down type of stock, and earnings are on the 5th. But this tight consolidation right here, that's pretty sexy right there. Next up is going to be Fold Amicus Therapeutics, biotech company. So know what you're buying. And big up above all moving averages. Earnings are on the 5th also. And it's kind of like, this was obviously a very important area right there, right? Oh my gosh. Right there. Earnings coming up. So we'll see what happens. But this one looks pretty good. Next up will be, okay, Snap. Snap had its earnings gigantic up. As you could expect, it's going to be pulling back some, right? I mean, that's just kind of normal price action. Pulled back on some lower volume, let these moving averages catch up, and Snap could potentially keep moving higher. WillScot Mobile. Again, big area, kind of like in here, right? Earnings coming up on the 5th. Again, 5th must be a huge day for earnings. But yeah, beautiful consolidation. If it gets above 1975, this one looks real nice. Star Surgical, kind of pulled back, broke out. Now it's kind of consolidating up here. Earnings on the 4th. But it is consolidating nicely above all its moving averages. So this one looks real nice. Penumbra. See, kind of a little bit loose, but had a very nice reaction to earnings. Big volume coming in, and it's holding up here, holding the gap really nicely. Let this settle out a little bit. See if the moving averages will catch up, and then it may give a nice risk reward entry. omcl, Omnicell. Coming back above this very important area. Already had earnings. Some nice volume coming in. Low volume pullback. That's what you want to see. If price gets above $90.50, this one may have a chance to move higher. Mattel made the list. I was kind of surprised on this one. It's been a dog. I mean, let's go back and let's go to weekly chart on this one. I mean, just absolute, has gone nowhere, sideways is best, if not down, right? But when we zoom in closer, we have an area that looks important. We have price kind of gapping up and holding the gap. We have earnings out of the way and gigantic volume coming in. So somebody's buying Mattel, right? So this can let the moving averages catch up and it can get above, 15 and a quarter. Mattel could potentially move much higher. So this is a nice little bottoming action. We'll watch it and see what happens. Next up is going to be, if I can type better, pins. So Pinterest, moved up, consolidated. Like there's that tight consolidation that I love seeing, right? There it was right there. gapped up, earnings gapped up again. Okay, it's pulling back a little bit, so it may need these moving averages to catch up to it, but it's definitely people are buying Pinterest and just like Snap, and so I think that this is one we have to watch. FCX, Freeport McMoran, copper and gold miner, uptrend, move sideways, and it's kind of consolidating here above all its major moving averages, earnings out of the way. So if it can continue higher, gets above 1850, this one could potentially move. There's a 1850 could move up to $20 very easily, and if it moves even higher than that, you're talking a potential serious move. So FCX. Also, Cleveland Cliffs, again, in an uptrend. The 200-day is curling up now. I mean, you're seeing people are getting interested in this again. Lots of volume coming in on a positive basis. Earnings are out of the way. It could potentially get up to this $11.80 or so. Maybe $12. Why not? So those were all my non-China stocks. And you see how important this level was. I mean, just forever ago. Back in 2009, right? This level has remained important. All right, those are all non-China. So let's go over some China stocks. So first, let's look at the ETF, kweb, right? So the China Internet ETF looks really, really good, above all moving averages, moving higher. The cold water will be is showing a bearish momentum divergence here. So something I am watching. Divergence is important until it's not, right? So it has to prove itself. But again, it's staying above all its moving averages, and as long as it stays above, $68 or so, it's still an uptrend. So looking at kweb, let's dig down to a few individuals. First off, doyu. Doyu looks pretty good. Uptrend, pulled back, gapped up right there. Kind of just consolidated down. Earnings are on the 11th, so I wouldn't touch it before earnings. But big uptrend, consolidation looks pretty good. JD, big uptrend, sideways move. I can easily say that this is the area of importance right here. If it gets above 85-ish, 85 and a quarter or so, I think that JD has a long can move much higher. Earnings are on the 11th also. PDD, Pinduoduo, whatever that is, Chinese company. Don't know what they do, but I can tell you that it has a nice uptrend, good sideways movement, maybe an inverse head and shoulders. If there is a pullback, which is very possible, then you have that nice, beautiful inverse head and shoulders while looking for the breakout above 97.50-ish. Earnings are on November 18th. So again, a pullback into these moving averages, and that would be a nice setup right there. Baba's looking pretty good. You have earnings really soon, November 5th. But it's an uptrend. May need to kind of chop around sideways a little bit, maybe a little bit extended from its 200-day. But it is above all its moving averages, and it looks pretty good. Not my favorite setup, but something to watch. VIPs. Virtual Holdings is in an uptrend, kind of pulled back in late summer, and now is moving higher again. You see the 200-day is curling back up. Moving averages are now bullishly aligned, moving higher, and we have earnings on November 23rd, but it is an uptrend, and here was the all-time highs of here around 20, about 30, right? Roughly 30 or so. So, there's room to run to the upside potentially on VIPs. And the last one we're going to go over is YY. Just kind of zooming in. It was in a pretty ugly downtrend. It kind of bottomed in March, kind of with the overall world markets, and now it has resumed an uptrend. And I define uptrend by rising moving averages, right? That's just how I define it. The 200-day is rising, the 65-day is rising, the 23-day is rising, so we're in an uptrend. So for this one, I probably would draw a line somewhere around there, right? So if it kind of could break out of this downtrend line, I think that that YY, which is Joy Inc., can move higher. November 17th is the earnings date, so be aware of that. All right, so again, just kind of going over what I'm kind of watching the 260 level on the Qs. I think that level is going to be really important. I am looking for the potential double bottom right here, right? This what do they call that? Like a even and atom double bottom or whatever, something like that. If we lose 260, then the downtrend continues. But as of right now, my edge is going to the bulls. Hope you all have a good week. Stay safe out there. Again, a lot of volatility potentially in the early part of this week. So stay nimble if you're still in the markets. And if you're in cash, get your watch list ready to rock and roll, because I think there's going to be great opportunities going forward. Take care.